You're sending everything short of your social security number and credit card numbers. You're sending to someone and saying, hey, can you go and remove stuff on the internet on my behalf? Do you understand how crazy it is that we're doing this willingly? And now, here's the even scarier part. Have you seen a few videos lately that seem to all have the same advertiser? You know what I'm talking about. The completely unrelated, we're talking about cars, but somehow now this is segueing into online security. Every video that you watch seems to go into the same thing, which is this data broker removal service, and it is just exploded. From a few years ago, where we never saw this at all, to now, where basically every YouTuber is sponsored by these guys. But what are they? What do they do? And is it worth your money? And is it safe? And what are the options? First of all, I think it's important to know what a data broker is. And for most people, the thing that you're thinking about is kind of a people search website. That would come up if you Google your name and the first result comes up and it's something like truthfinderusa.com or peoplefinder411. And then there's your name and your address and everything else along those lines. And the idea is you don't like that, right? No one wants to have their full information out on the internet. And these services are claiming that they're going to help you remove all of that stuff. Okay. Most of that stuff is going to be public information. If you've ever voted in most states, you can look up to see your registration, and that's going to have your address and your name. If you've purchased a home, you can go and you can see that type of stuff. If you have a mortgage, you can go and you can see that. There's 1,001 different ways that are public data that all of these sites aggregate that data into, and then they make it available. Now, we can say something about it, but really, this is the change of a modern world from where it was in my day of 30 years ago, where if you bought a house, it wasn't online, even though there was the internet, because most of these county clerks and things like that were not online. So if you wanted to go and find out, hey, who lives at 123 Main Street, okay, you would actually have to go and walk down to the county clerk's office and request that file in person and look at it. And there was no way to get that online. That was the only place it happened. Now, sometimes you would have newspapers that would publish that information, but in general, that's not the case. But we have moved now into a new age where everything is online. Every county clerk, every law office, etc. If there's public information, it's going out there. And what a lot of these services do is they take all that data and they attach it to you, and they build a profile and they make the link there. And then their business is off of selling this to other people. So if you want to target people that are fresh out of the military, that are living in Florida, that have bad credit or something along those lines, this is what it is. It makes sense to you, right? If you're a marketer and you have a very specific product to sell, tools like this are invaluable for being able to market against it, but it's a privacy disaster for you yourself. So the natural urge comes up, okay, well, I want to remove my data. And most of these sites do let you go and remove your data. So I'm going to pull up one here, and I'm going to just show you, first off, we're going to just take a look at the removal process. And it's going to be, I might even have to speed this up because it gets a little bit crazy. All right, so let's say that you are ready. You have, you don't like the fact that your name is out here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click this. And oh my goodness, that's me right there. John Smith, age 61 in South Carolina. Okay, well, I want to remove this. So I scroll down to the bottom. I'm looking, remove my information. Okay, there we go. And so let's do this. Let's do it. All right, we're getting to wait. I love waiting. That's my favorite thing in the world to do, is to wait. And this is not uncommon tactics. And there's two reasons that these are done. The first one is to go John Smith, Boston, Mass. Okay, we're just going to do it this way. We're going to pick someone. Okay, so this is me right here. John Smith, 59. There we go. Select. Yes, I want to start removing. More waiting. So here's the reason these data broker remover sites exist. This is difficult, and this is fucking annoying. Okay? This is really an obnoxious process. This is not going to be a unique experience, what's going on here. Most other data broker sites are going to have something similar to this, where they make you go and they're, first off, trying to convince you not to do it because they want to keep selling your data. But secondly, these guys are kind of at war with the data broker removal companies, right? It's a symbiotic but also asymbiotic relationship. Without one, the other one doesn't exist. Some of them are kind of in cahoots about that. Brian Krebs did a great article on this very site, which is quite interesting. But you can see here how this is heavily, heavily done. So anyways, the last step here is you do testo at notmailinator.com. We're not actually going to go and do it, but you see now there's a CAPTCHA here as well. Basically, I'm not going to finish this process. This is not my profile, but essentially they have gone and they have made this thing as difficult as possible. So once you go and you do that, they'll send you an email, and then you have to click and verify that email, and then you will have to also verify pieces of information about yourself, like, hey, can you tell us some of the cities you lived in or one of the email addresses you had? Now, all of this is designed to be as difficult as possible, to basically make automating it as difficult as possible. So how do you do this? How do you automate the removals? How are these companies doing it? Optory and Incogni and Delete Me and a lot of these other guys. And Aura is another big one. The end of the day is that there's only really 3 ways to do this, okay? The first way of doing this, okay, and again, I'm not going to say who's doing what versus not for, I guess you could say legal purposes here, but the first way of doing this is to use people to do it. You might, for instance, have a lot of people in the Philippines. Now, as an example, if I pull up here, this is interesting. There's a lot of, for Optory, there's a lot of people here that work in the Philippines. Let's say, what are the job titles we have here? We have data privacy analyst, privacy agent. What do you think a privacy agent is? A lot of privacy agents. Privacy analyst, a data privacy officer, Upwork at Optory, and a data entry specialist at Optory. So all of these guys, and this is just, I did a quick thing on LinkedIn, so this isn't going to catch everyone. This is just there. My suspicion, allegedly, I would suspect that what's happening is that these people are being given your information, and they're typing your information into these forms, and they're clicking delete, and they're going through and they're doing the whole process. And that's because they do not have the technology to automate it. As you saw, there's CAPTCHAs in there. There's going and there's clicking links, right, to verify that is who you are. They have to know a bit about you. You can't do it automatically. It might ask a question like, hey, what was your first car or something along those lines. So you have to provide it with a lot of this information, and then the agents do that. I think we all know the downside of this approach, and that is that when you do it like this, you have people in the Philippines. And first off, I think we all know why we've chosen the Philippines to begin with here. But when we've chosen the Philippines for its low costs, okay, we now have people that are not making very much money that have basically your full docs. And the question is, how many of these people do they work with every day? And what's stopping these guys from taking your information and going and doing something with it? Essentially selling your information or having a data leak over there, right? How tight is the ship over at Optory Philippines? I have no idea. That's a crazy thing to think about. So that's the first thing. So some of these sites, don't get me wrong, can be automated. Some of them don't have a CAPTCHA. Some of them is just like you just fill in your email, you enter in the profile URL, and you click remove me, and it'll go and it'll do it. And then that can be automated on a computer. Okay, so if you give me your information, I could write up a script, okay, and I could have that script go and automatically parse that form, submit your information, and click done. Okay, and there's some of these guys do that. Okay, and the reason being, naturally, is they want to save on cost. They don't want to send this stuff off to the Philippines if they can help it. So that's kind of the first way. The second way is what I'm alluding to at the end, is doing this the right way. Okay, the right way is the annoying, slow, obnoxious process that you just saw earlier with Radaris, where you click next, I agree, confirm, click my email, here's the CAPTCHA, yes, I confirm, this is me, that's the right way of doing it. The problem is that it's hard, technically, okay? So a lot of people only do this on the simplistic sites. It's hard to automate it. The sites themselves change up frequently, so that when you go and you write this set of code and it's looking for a specific thing, like, hey, I'm looking for this form field to put my email address and then click submit. The problem is that they're changing it up so often is that these guys need to basically constantly be on top of their game. They have bot detection as well, right? So now if you can't just throw one server at Amazon at this problem. Now you need to have millions of IP addresses because these guys will only let you do 1 or 2 removals per IP per every 24 hours or every week or something along those lines. So like you can do yourself and your wife and that's it. So that's the correct way of doing it, but it's hard and it's annoying and not a lot of people do it that way. Okay. I'll talk a little bit at the end about where Redact is coming into this. Cliff Notes, it's doing it the hard way and it's doing it directly on your PC as opposed to everyone else who takes your information, puts it on a server, and then has that server go and automate that. And you know that's the case because there's no program running on your computer. When you sign up to Optry or Delete Me or an Incogni or any of these other guys, and you do it, you're giving them your information. Your information is now in a database on their system that could be compromised as well, but we're not going to talk about that. But your information is there on a system, and when it's on that system, then they're going to go and do the deletions for you. They're going to try to, right? Some of that will be automated. Some of that will go out to people directly. It totally depends on what the case is going to be. So that's a second way. Now, what's the third way? I have seen in the past some data broker removers do something where they just go into emails with the data broker sites. And it'll be like, hey, my name is Dan Saltman, and I want you to remove my profile found at this URL. And then the site responds back, hey, we have an automated removal tool at this URL. Go ahead and do it. And then they respond back, hey, sorry, I really don't want to use your tool. Please just go ahead and remove it. And then they respond back and they say, sir, the tool is very easy to use. You can go ahead and do it. Just fill in your information. It's very simple. And then they respond back, per Article Section 216 of the Nebraska State Legislature, I am not responsible for doing this, and you must do it now. Do it or I'll sue you. And then they say, sir, the Nebraska State Legislature does not bind to us because we're not in this state. And then you come back and you say, well, and also I have this law here and this one, and you need to do it. And eventually they give up and they remove your shit if you keep bitching and going back and forth. That is a process that some of these guys do. Blasting your information out over email to any data broker that will listen. Hey, you know this guy? If you do, remove him, okay? Get him out of there if he's there, okay? Bob Smith, 65, Indiana, out of there, okay? I think we can all see the problem with that approach of doing this type of removal. Now, why do I bring this up? So yesterday, okay, what happens? Yesterday, there is a email that a lot of people get. What does the email say? Let's go through it. This is from Optry. Notice of AI processing and how to opt out of AI processing. An update to our terms of service policy. We're writing to let you know that as of September 18th, 2024, we have updated our look over here. We have updated our terms of service to include the use of artificial intelligence technology from OpenAI to produce Optry's removal reports. The AI will improve the speed and accuracy of our removal reports. The speed, yes. The accuracy, I do not think so. We'll be rolling out AI removal reports in the coming weeks, starting with the extended plan customers. After AI removal reports have been rolled out for extended, then they'll begin for the ultimate. Core and free will not be eligible at this time. If you want to learn more about how blah, 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 here's a summary. Okay, so why, first off, let's go through some questions or some answer some things here. So first of all, Optry, as I know it, I think they have 3 plans, maybe 4, but there's like the basic one that you can do for free. And that covers, like, remember I was talking about those really simple sites to opt out from that you can automate and they don't do any checks whatsoever and they're kind of useless and they never show up in Google anyways. Those are the ones included in the free plan, is from what I've seen. Then they have their core plan, which is like, gets kind of like whatever, 100 sites out of the 200. And then they have their ultimate, which is like 300 or whatever. And the most difficult ones like the Spokio or whatever to do. So on this first claim of it being more accurate, I guess that's going to speak to the effectiveness of these Filipino removal agents and how good they were at their job. We really are going to need to see if that's the case. If they were that bad, the AI is better. That's not good. So are you saying that these Filipino removal agents were not up to the task? Why were you using them? If so, how can you be more accurate than 100% accurate? I don't get it. Was there mistakes being made? Was there data being leaked? The wrong person getting opted out? Oh my God, it sounds horrible. Okay, so what's happening here? I think you can tell. They want to use ChatGPT to respond to these websites when they email them, right? So I want to email, California gun owners 411.com, be like, hey, my name's Dan Saltman. I want you to remove me. And then they respond back. And then we have our prompt in ChatGPT saying, I'm about to feed you a response. I want you to respond to it, demanding sincerely, but flatly and firmly that you still wish to have this data removed and you do not want to use their online tool. And then, of course, ChatGPT spits that out and they take that and then they're going to go and send it to us. So they're trying to automate this process of doing it. The problem is that these sites are just going to probably stop responding to email. I don't believe that there's any requirement that they do email in the first place. A lot of them do it just because they kind of don't want to get sued. But as long as they offer an online way of doing this, they're probably going to be covered. So another thing to consider is that as these companies get larger, they're probably going to start trying to form direct relationships with these data brokers. And they're basically along the lines of like, listen, we can either go the ChatGPT route or we can go the very simple route. Like, what do you want to do? You're getting these removal notices one way or the other. Make it easy for us so it's easy for you. And a lot of them are like, go fuck yourself. We're going to make it as hard as possible for you because we don't want to make it easy for you. So it's this never-ending kind of battle that you'll see on that front. So that's the third way that this stuff is getting done. And it's not a good way to get it done. Using AI is even worse of a way to get it done. It's lazy, it's sloppy, and it's just not the right way of doing this type of stuff. First off, you're sending your information, your full information, everything about you to a third party, right? You're sending like everything short of your social security number and credit card numbers, you're sending to someone and saying, hey, can you go and remove stuff on the internet on my behalf? Like, do you understand how crazy it is that we're doing this willingly to someone? I understand a lot of sites have a lot of information on you. Like Amazon knows your address, knows your name, knows your past purchases. That's a lot of information that they have. But to go and go the step beyond and then say, here's all the places I lived in the past, here's my family, here's all this other stuff, it just gets a little bit crazy that we're doing this. And now here's the even scarier part is we now know that if one of these sites was to get hacked, essentially that every single person that signed up for that service was someone that cared enough to go and spend money to do it, and that is a prime target. Like, why are they going and they're doing this? Why are they spending money on doing this? And well, I have all their information, so that's good to know. They spent $300 to remove themselves from sites. So the right way to do this is to do it locally on your PC. Because if you think about it, if you can do it locally on your own PC, where the software handles everything, that would be the ideal way. Because you don't have to trust anyone. The software on your computer handles everything directly. There's some parts that are more complicated than others. There's like, how do you handle CAPTCHAs? How do you handle clicking links in an email? Now, the great thing, and this is something we're going to start beta testing coming up here within a month, is we have a feature in Redact that already does a lot of this. Guess what? We already have email integration built into our application, meaning you don't have to go and trust someone else. You just go and create an account like Hotmail or Gmail or whatever, put it in here, and we'll use that automatically. When I say we will use that, your computer will use that to do all these clicking links that they make to confirm. So when you start this process, it's like, hey, go create a Hotmail account. You do it. You create a Hotmail account, you give it to a program of Redact, and then Redact essentially is able to monitor that inbox just like Microsoft Outlook or any other email program would. And it's looking for certain emails coming in that are from these data brokers, and then it clicks the links where it's appropriate, and then it doesn't click them where it's not appropriate. And then obviously the tool Redact, we have a tremendous amount of experience dealing with working with hostile APIs, working with APIs that require a lot of authentication and bypassing CAPTCHAs and entering CAPTCHAs and all that stuff. I mean, this is a cakewalk. Imagine this compared to trying to get deletions going on Skype. This ancient software built in P2P, and you're dealing with all this crazy stuff. This is nothing, okay? So we're going to come in here and completely, hopefully, disrupt this entire market because we're going to do a few things differently. First off, it's going to be included with our initial cost of Redact. We're not going to charge you anything more for this feature. Secondly, is that we're not limiting it. A lot of these other people, a lot of these other companies that remove you, they let you only do it once every 30 days, once every 60 days. And you can only do one removal. you can go and do removal every hour if you want to. I mean, they might block you if you keep doing it every hour, but you can go nuts. You can do your scans and delete it because guess what? It's on your IP address. That is the biggest problem that all of these other companies cannot solve, is that they're burning through IP addresses, and these data broker sites are blocking the IPs. But guess what? If you're doing a removal from your home computer, that's a legitimate request from a legitimate IP. There's no way that they can block that because it's never been seen before, and it will never be seen again unless you go and you do your wife or your sister or whatever, or your neighbors, right? But the whole point is you can do that. There's no additional cost for additional people. Once you create an account, you can use the tool to scan and remove from as many sites as we're going to add, okay? And I'll say this is another thing that I can go and do here is a lot of these sites, they'll say they support 100 sites. And when you really look down to it, like 40 of these websites are all the same. Okay. And it's like, for instance, there's like CaliforniaGunOwners.com, MichiganGunOwners.com, TexasGunOwners.com. And it's like, we removed you from 50 websites. And it's like, okay, but who the fuck is on those websites? First of all. And second of all, yeah, no kidding. Because it's probably super easy to do it. And you just had to write one piece of code. And now you say you support 50 websites. Okay. Look how many of these people support Spokio. Look how many of these people support Radaris. Look how many of these people support Intellius or People Connect. It's going to be a lot smaller when it comes to actual services that really matter and rank on Google. A lot of them are going to make you pay up to do it. Though the big numbers that they give to you of we support 600 people, it's almost always baloney. Okay. And when I say it's baloney, I mean, it's not a site that you're going to care about. It's probably something that's not going to really be featured on Google that often compared to the big dogs. So, yeah, that's that. That's going over that huge change in how Optory goes and does their removals. A lot of this stuff is not exclusive to these guys. There's a lot more players that I haven't mentioned. There are some that are more honorable than others. And then there are others that are less honorable than some. I think this space is a disaster. It's obviously predatory just off of the fact of how often are you seeing these goddamn ads all over the place. It's not because they're doing a public service. It's because they're putting you on a billing cycle that they hope that you forget, and it's just free money, and they can deal with the chargebacks, and they have high enough rate and everything to go there. It's predatory, and I'm hoping that when we come in there and launch our product and our offering, that we can exploit that. But to be completely honest, these guys spend so much money. They're going to continue to get their customers. They're going to continue to do their thing that they do, and all we can do is offer a better product for a lower price. And I think that we're coming at this fundamentally from a different direction than any other company. If you look at these big guys who are out there and they're doing these things, we're not bundling our software with something else. You don't have to go and use a browser to do this, or you don't have to go and sign up to a website to do this where you give them all your information. Or we're not bundling our stuff to like some suite that now is trying to be your Google Authenticator also and selling you data breach insurance. Like none of that bullshit. Okay. Redact, very simply, is going to be and is the best tool for removing your data from the internet. And that is what we focus on. And that's the difference between us and I think a lot of these other guys, is that they're trying to do too many things at once and they're doing a lousy job at all of them. So, yeah, that's it. That's kind of the cliff notes of that piece of information. I hope you learned something about why you're seeing so many goddamn ads to remove yourself from the internet. But there you go. Now you know. Now you know so much. You're so educated. I'm so proud of you. Now you can go and educate other people, and you can do it yourself as well. So that's it. Have a fantastic day. I hope you learned a lot. I already said that. Anyways, bye.